The question is, what is an APA style? This is an abbreviation of the American Psychological Association, and which is the most commonly used format for manuscripts in the social and behavioral sciences, such as business, economics, psychology, nursing, etc. APA format provides writers with a format for cross-referencing the sources from their parenthetical references to their reference page. This cross-referencing system allows readers to locate the publication information of source material. And of course, this is of great value for researchers who may want to locate your sources for their own research projects. And as you know, the proper use of APA style also shows the credibility of writers, such writers show accountability to their source material, and most importantly, the use of APA style can protect you from plagiarism. As I indicated earlier, plagiarism means the purposeful or accidental use of source material by other writers without giving appropriate credit. This slide introduces the basics of APA stylistics related to the point of view and voice in an APA paper, which encourages writers to use personal pronouns and active voice as in the following examples. The point of view and voice here presented by the use of personal pronouns. We say we conducted an experiment instead of saying the authors conducted an experiment. And also the active voice rather than the passive voice is recommended in this case. We should say we asked participants questions instead of saying the participants have been asked questions by the researchers. So please, you should regulate the point of view and voice of your research paper as demanded by APA citation. In terms of language, this slide explains the language qualities the APA recommends for academic papers. As you can see here, language in an APA paper should be clear, concise, and plain. Clarity and conciseness are the major concerns when reporting research in APA. It's not easy to balance clarity, which requires accuracy, and conciseness, which requires packing information. To achieve clarity, a writer should avoid vague wording and be specific in descriptions and explanations. And to achieve conciseness, a writer should condense information, should provide accurate information. Because APA formatting is widely used in isolated papers, the language of APA style is plain and simple, and should be plain and simple, of course. A writer in this case should avoid using metaphors and also minimize the use of figurative language, which is typical for creative writing. This slide introduces two most commonly used genres in APA format: the literature review and the experimental report, also known as the research article. So here you choose one types of APA papers, whether it is literature review or experimental research. As you can see, the literature review here is the summary of what the scientific literature in the discipline field says about the topic of research, of course. And is the genre students likely encounter in their academic studies. So the literature review paper includes the title page, introduction, and list of references. These are the three building foundations on which the literature review paper is based. While the other type of APA papers is the experimental report. The experimental report or research article, sometimes called, provides an account of conducted research. This genre includes the title page, abstract, introduction, which is basically the gist for the reports, for the reporter's study, method, results, discussion, multiple experiments, if you conduct more than one, and also includes references and appendices, which is, I guess it's optional. So the experimental report often contains tables and figures, and in this case, and of course we will see the tables and figures in the end of this presentation. If your APA paper does not take any type of the above mentioned ones, so you should either follow the general format you already know, or consult the structure, or consult the APA publication manual, you know. This slide presents the general format of an APA formatted paper. The essay should be typed and double-spaced. These are the characteristic features of the general APA formatting and the general framework. And also it should have one margins on all sides of the let's say, of the word processing documents. The document also should be set to the Times New Roman as a font type in 10 or 12 pt, mean the size of the font. So the document should include a page header indicating a short title of the essay and a page number in the upper right hand of every page, including the title page. Okay, so here we have an example. This is the general APA format for every, so this slide presents the general format of APA style formatted paper. And as I indicated in this previous slide, that should be typed, double-spaced, and so on. So the page header, as indicated in the upper left-hand corner, should be the title and should be all capitalized, okay? And the page number in the should be placed in the upper right, as you can see here. So this is the general formatting. One of the significant things about the APA formatting is the general structure that includes 4 major sections. And we have the title page, the abstract page, the main body page, or the essay itself, the article itself, and a reference list. An abstract page and a list of references are titled as abstract and references, respectively. So it's important to remind you that each page should have a page header with a shortened version of the title and page number. So this title page shows a visual example, right, for the proper placement of the page header and a shortened version of the title. So here you should type the page header flash left with the page number flash right, as indicated just at the top of this sheet of paper. Okay, and you should type the page header flash left with the page number, as I said, flash right, including words running head immediately before you shorten title. So you should also type the complete title in the upper half of the page, and it should be centered here, as you can see. Below the title, you should write your name and your university or your affiliation. For example, you say University of Basra, Department of English, College of Arts, and you may include information, extra information like supervisor, the name of supervisor, or year, and so on. So this is the general formatting of the title page. Let's move to the abstract page. In this slide, we'll provide a visual example of an abstract page, which consists of a page header or heading, abstract, as you can see, and a brief summary here, the big block, which consists of a brief summary of the paper accurately presenting its content. You should type the abstract, the heading of the abstract in the center at the top of the page, and below you should type the paragraph of the proper summary, which should be basically between 150 and 250 or sometimes 300 words, depends on the study under investigation. All right, and this should go in one block without any separation, without any paragraphing, let's say, without indentation. As you may know, and also I talked about the major content of the abstract. The abstract should contain the research topic, research questions, participants, method, results, data analysis, and conclusions. It may also include possible implications of your research, recommendations for future research policy, and many other things, in fact, and may include keywords in this case. Now we move to the main body. In this slide, this slide provides the basic reminders about formatting the text. So we have many things. First of all, you should make sure that the first text page is page number 3. Page number 1 is a title page. Page number 2 is an abstract page. This means that the title page should be paginated, should be given number 1, for example, page number 1. The abstract page should be also paginated, you should add number 2, and so on and so forth. Start with typing the essay title centered at the top of the page. Type the text double space with all sections following each other without a break. Don't use white space between paragraphs. Number 4, create parenthetical and text citations to identify the sources used in the paper. And finally, you should format tables and figures. So the following slide introduce APA formatting of references, in-text citations, and tables and figures. So here we'll talk about, and this slide explains the format and purpose of a reference page. So it should be stressed that each source referenced within the paper, I mean, when you do in-text citation, should also appear on the reference page, which appears at the end of the paper. So to create a reference page, you should do the following. Number 1, you should center the heading, references at the top of the page. And you should, please don't bold it, right? The second thing you do is to double space reference entries, as you can see here. You should flash left the first line of the entry and indent subsequent lines, as you can see. So it's a characteristic feature. It's very easy. Just you go, just a click on the right of your mouse, right-click on the mouse, and then you go to exactly indentation, then choose hanging in the special box. Later, you should order all entries alphabetically by the author's surnames or the last names. If a source is anonymous, use its title as an author's surname. That's, I mean, it's so easy to follow. One important note is that unlike MLA, APA citation and APA style is only interested in what they call recoverable data. That's data which other people can find. For example, personal communications such as letters, memos, emails, interviews, and telephone calls and conversations should not be included in the reference list since they are not recoverable by other researchers. So any kind of communication should not be included in the reference entry, but it should be mentioned in text citations. This slide provides basic rules related to creating reference entries. As you can see, you should follow this strategy by inverting authors' names. Last name should come first, then followed by initials. You should capitalize the first letter of the first word of a title and a subtitle. And as you can see, just you capitalize the first letter of the first word of the title and the first the first letter of the first word of the subtitle, as you can see. So the first word after a colon or a dash, the title, and the proper nouns. Do not capitalize the first letter of the second word in a hyphenated compound word. So this is how we create references. I mean, we're still with the basic things about creating reference entries. You should capitalize all major words in journal article, in journal titles. If you have an article in journal, you should capitalize the major words. You should not capitalize, for example, prepositions or connectors. You don't need to. You don't have to do this. You should italicize titles of longer works, like books and journals. Don't italicize, underline, or put quotes around the titles of shorter works, such as journal articles or essays in edited collections, right? Just like when you examine this example, when we see the example, here we have friendships through IM, examining the relationship between instant messaging and intimacy. This is what, as you can see here, we do not italicize, underline, or put any quotes around this title. This is short work. This is journal article, right? But you should capitalize all major words in this journal title, Journal of Computer Mediated Communication. So this is how it goes in APA formatting. APA is a complex system of citation that can be time-consuming to learn and difficult to recall when needed. So to help you handle the requirements of APA format, this slide will introduce a strategy of surviving APA style. So it should be stressed the importance of correct identification of a type of source. Is it an article from a newspaper or from a scholarly journal? Hard copy or electronic version? Is it a kind of book? Is it a kind of web page? Is it a film? What kind of thing? I need to handle these things, in fact. So you should go easily to find a sample citation for this type of source you are looking for. You need to go to OWL APA guide through this following link, and you'll have some example to generate some entries that are generated alphabetically, okay? And also I'd like to remind you that there are many electronic library databases that have a citation feature that can generate different reference list entries, like the Word document. The Word document can process your reference list entry. This slide explains the basics of in-text citations. In-text citations help establish credibility of the writer, show respect to someone else's intellectual property, and here avoiding plagiarism. More practically, in-text citations help readers locate the cited source in the reference page, thus keep the in-text citation brief and make sure that the information provided in the body of the paper should be just enough so that a reader could easily cross-reference the citation with its matching entry on the reference page. As an example, the body of the paper and the in-text citation together contains the author's name and the year of publication. And this is very much important thing to remember, please. Whenever you use any source, you should provide parentheses wherever possible, right? By writing the author's name and the date of publication, whether in the body or let's say, when you do in-text citations, right? For quotation and close paraphrases, you should provide the author's name, date of publication, and a page number as well. As the example below shows that the writer Lahiri, right? Lahiri, 2002. I use this, for example, twice. It's just an example. It's taken from one of the sources, right? And it's used originally by Part2 online writing lab. So in this first in-text citation, the author should be mentioned here, followed by the year. While in the second one, the same author has been mentioned with the same year, but with the page number. So what's the difference? What makes us use this and we don't use that? All right. So I will answer this question when I talk about this slide. So when we use quotations, you should introduce your quotation with a signal phrase, or you should also include the author's name, year of publication, and page number. So page numbers are all the time needed when you quote directly from a reference, especially when it's preceded or followed by quotation, let's say quotation marks or inverted, as you can see here, quotation marks. So the page number is necessary here, okay? So this is called the direct reference. And also you need to keep the citation brief. You don't need to repeat the information. You don't have to, okay? For example, Garuth 1996 has stated that a traumatic response frequently entails then a quotation, short quotation starts. As you can see, we have here quotation marks included. So this indicates that we need to place a page number, you see? Or a traumatic response entails a delayed, uncontrolled, and so on and so forth. When you like to include the author's name in parentheses, between parentheses. So in this case, you need to include both the name, the year, and the page number. So you have two different actually citation styles used for quotations, you see?